Hello and welcome to Against the Storm version 0.56, the Upgraded Living Update. I think the community has been eagerly anticipating the update to the sealed forest biome, but that has been delayed another 2 weeks. That'll be coming 2 weeks from today, or yesterday as you're watching this, due to its complexity and things. So instead they've given us an update to the houses. And in this update, we will be able to upgrade houses much the same as we do for mines and the rainwater pumps and the geyser pumps, that's what they're called, and those types of buildings, giving us some general bonuses as well as some species-specific bonuses that we can take advantage of by upgrading the houses. Now, this is per house, so you're only upgrading the 2 people, well, maybe more, based on the first upgrade, or one of the options for the first upgrade. You're only upgrading the people who live in the house, so you actually have to apply these upgrades to multiple houses if you want it to affect everyone in your town. To every house, if you want it to affect everyone in your town. And these upgrades only are only available on the species-specific housing, not on the shelters. Beyond that, we also have some new cornerstones, some new citadel upgrades, some rebalanced world events, the ability to lock house slots, and some UX, UI changes, bug fixes, and more. But first, they've teamed up with a company to make plushies of the beaver characters. And they are doing a giveaway on their Twitter where you can win one of 2 of the beaver plushies. Beyond that, you will also be able to purchase them. The giveaway is for about a week, starting as soon as it was announced today, through August 10th at 6 p.m. UTC. Your time zone conversion may vary. So if you're interested in trying to win that, go to the Twitter and follow the instructions that are there, and you should be able to win to get a chance to win one of the beaver plushies. So as I mentioned, the major part of this update is the house upgrades. And so the first thing we can see is a enlargement of the picture, or similar version to the picture we have here that we had on the upgrade screen. But this one shows the 4 other harpy houses with different variants to the way the house looks depending on which upgrades you have or don't have. So you can kind of see that they're all a little bit different. The left one doesn't have the lines on the roof. The right ones have 2 different types of awnings. I think, although I don't know actually, no, they might not. I was going to say the gardens might be part of it, but no, they're not part of it. So there's a couple of subtle changes here. And as you buy the upgrades, you will get access to those changes. So here's some pictures of a picture of some of the changes. Level 1, there's 2 levels, level 1, level 2. Level 1 will give you the ability to add additional slots to the house. And the other option is, I just lost the notes. Let's see, more room and more movement speed. The second row has 1 general improvement for resolve and 1 unique effect for the specific species. So, and by the way, the upgrades cost collected building materials and a possible secondary resource, depending on the upgrade and what it means. So here you can see some of the options selected there. They must have done the additional movement speed option. That must be the first one. Given that the other icon is the door, I'm guessing that's the more movement speed. And then, of course, you have the resolve one, which is the not selected one, and then the one with the shovel would be the specific human one. Unfortunately, we don't get to see here in the patch notes what the upgrades are, and I'm not going to tell you. So we'll have to just go into the game and see. The problem is my game is not high enough yet, because these upgrades are only available at the very end of the upgrades tree. So you have to get to either the last or the second to last level in order to get there. So we need to do a lot of playthrough to get to these, unfortunately. Here we can see a settlement with a bunch of variety of different house types based on the upgrades. So you can see some of the human houses, beaver houses, harpy houses, all shown there with some different upgrades and some different looks to them. A lot of it is the awnings, it looks like, but also some roof decorations. The chimney on the human house, for example, and then there's awnings on the front of one of the human house and not on the other. It's uncovered support for that awning. And on the beaver houses, there's an awning on the one and not the other. And I can't tell if there's another difference in those or not. Maybe there's not. So you can kind of see, though, that there are some slight differences to the different houses. As I mentioned also, there are 7 new cornerstones, which are very focused on either Rainpunk or exploration, which are, Rainpunk is still a system that they're kind of expanding, and exploration is literally expanding, I guess, so that makes sense. And so the new cornerstones are focused around those. I'm not going to list them out, but if you want to read the patch notes, you can see what those are. They've tried to create new effects that would boost playstyles with those two and create some additional synergies, so hopefully those will lead us in that direction. There's 5 new Smoldering City upgrades, the new housing features, of course, and then there's additional stats given in those as well. And on the production buildings, now when you are selecting a person to put in the production building, a little icon will appear next to them. And there, next to them, that icon will appear when that race matches that building specialization. So now you can more obviously see that, hey, this building needs harpies, or is more specialized toward harpies. So maybe I want to pick them. And that just serves as a little bit of a reminder to you as you're picking people. And I think that'll be useful for me especially. And then finally, the other sort of major change or highlighted change in the patch notes is the way that the large deposits work as far as the icons go on the screen when you're in the resource overlay, for example. You can see both in the insects in the bottom right and the vegetables in the bottom left that the icon now has 2 stars. That is there to signify that this is a large node, or these are large nodes rather than small nodes. So that's just kind of there as a hint to help you understand, without even really looking at them very hard, whether it's 1 large node or 4 small nodes in a cluster. We've also done a little bit of reworking or adjusting of world events, and added a forest mystery back that they removed a long time ago called Vassal Tax. So keep an eye out for that one as well. There's a slightly increased spawn rate for rainwater geysers in the Cursed Royal Woodlands biome as well. And they were a little low. So, the Citadel upgrades. Let's move these out of the way. And we'll go into the save here, and into the Citadel, and into the upgrades tree. And you can see here, they're all here at the very top. They've added new nodes for each of all of these. So we have a new node for, of course, you get the gathering bonus. That's the stat for the entire building. But here we have the house upgrades for harpies. The humans is actually down a tier, which is interesting. But that's here. And then you have the lizards up here. And then I think down here is the foxes, which is also interesting that the foxes are the level before. And then finally you have the beavers here. So they're all here at the end, and as those of you who are watching my series as well know, we're still stuck down here a little bit. So getting to this is going to be a little bit of effort to do that. But this way you can come in here and find them as well if you'd like, and to see where they are. So those added all new levels to the game. So I think they they just pushed this one up, but the rest of them are newly added to the top as opposed to bumps. So stuff you had shouldn't get moved around very much, except for one place. They removed one bonus, and then they added in 2 more in the first dawn. They added in, let's see, they removed a bonus for caravan goods and pulled the plantation and bark bonus down. And they did the same here by pulling the herb garden down so that they could fit the human house in here and still have the farm range at the top of this tier. So that's the change made in the first dawn headquarters. The rest of them are all added to the top of their column, foxes being over here, of course, so there's no changes made there. As I mentioned, they rebalanced a bunch of world events. They're too much to call out, but there's like 8 or 9 of them that have been rebalanced. So make sure you check those out in the patch notes if you have those memorized, or if you're looking at one on the world map. Make sure that you read it clearly in case it's changed since you looked at it first. The rushed delivery deeds now require fewer completed timed orders, so that's probably what this deed is here that I have. No, this is just my completed orders one. I can do that. I can clear that out of the way. We don't need to do that during the play of the map. But we have that, and then we have a rebalance of the Scientific Agreement perk, which now requires 12 dead villagers for a wildcard blueprint and has a lower drop rate from the mystery boxes sold by Dulan Warlander. I mentioned at the beginning, there's one additional house-related thing where you can lock a slot in a house. And the usefulness of that may be a little bit opaque, but what it can be really used for is to force people to live in a specific town, a specific hearth range. We've had it happen before where we had to kind of delete houses and move houses around in order to get people to move from one hearth area to another. And you can use this now to force people to live in one hearth or another to get your bonuses in those hearths that you kind of had to do a lot of finagling before. So this is really nice because you don't have to move the house, you don't have to delete the house, you just need to disable the house effectively. Or a slot in the house to move people around, which is really, really nice. And I assume that's in the shelters as well, but I haven't gone in to look to see for sure if it's in the shelters. The hostility tooltip now shows a breakdown of hostility values per source. For example, regular glades 2 times 15 rather than just saying 30. So you can kind of see what how the calculation is made a little bit more in detail, which is really nice because sometimes I've wondered where some of those numbers come from. So it's really nice to be able to see those types of things. They cleaned up a lot of wording again, made things more consistent, especially with objectives that say, do this in X years. Like world event objectives, for example, they now all say win before year X rather than do in X years. That way it's a little more clear and consistent because some of them said one and some of them said the other. Beyond that, there's a whole host of bug fixes and another huge pass on performance, especially when it comes to post-processing and weather effects. So keep those reports coming if you have had issues and you're still having issues with the way the game performs, so that they are able to track those down and keep working on performance of the game. That should be it for this series patch notes. I will be returning to the game for another town over the next few days, so come and join us for that on YouTube for the premiere time if you're able. Otherwise, you can watch it anytime, of course. They're at the same link. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all in the series. Bye for now.